And we're live.
Alex looks like a nocturnal zoo creature, like the one where if you go into the zoo, it's like a very dimly lit exhibit, and then there's just one creature in the back with his eyes like this, staring at you when you get up close. Yeah, that's how you're starting to look. I'm just saying, we're gonna probably have to invest in getting you some better studio stuff.
Definitely.
So good morning, everybody. Today we have a very special show. We're interviewing Alex, who just left. No, I'm just kidding. We're interviewing Kris Rugloski. And first off, I want to know, how do you properly pronounce your name? Because I tried to say it 5 times this morning, and I recognized in the middle of saying it all, I really don't know how to say your last name.
It's Rugloski. I don't know. Everybody tries to add in like an Owski because a lot of, I guess, the ski names end in that. But it's just Rugloski.
Are you Polish?
Yes.
I knew it, dude. The Polish people are literally the strongest people on the planet.
That's exactly right. Heard it here first.
I was going to get into this, but I just want to state up front. Now, you guys might not know who Kris is, and we're going to get into it, but my coach, my longtime coach, literally my man guru, I called him one day, and I was like, what's up? He goes, I just had Kris Rugloski over here, Rugloski. And I was like, oh, cool. And I was like, how'd it go? And he goes, she's the fittest person I've ever tested. And Rich has tested tens of thousands of people. I mean, he's been doing it for 30 plus years. And sometimes he'll go to places where in one day he'll have to test like 30 to 50 people. And he said that no one in the history of time has had scores as aerobically fit as you are. And is it because you're training hard or because you're Polish?
This is a good question. It can't be both. So it has to be one or the other.
Yeah, and we want to know the training secrets, because if we're going to buy a training plan off you, should we just buy a training plan off of any random Polish person, or is it the Kris Rugloski formula?
It's actually a good question. Kris Rugloski has no formula, so maybe any random Polish person is the way to go.
It's true.
We're also going to get into that. The Kris Rugloski formula success.
No formula at all.
So just to give everybody, we're going to start at the end of the story, and then we're going to come back to the front of the story, and then we're going to finish up at the end of the story. I want to give context here.
So we're opening the back of the book first.
Yes, we are.
All right, you're breaking all the rules.
It's like you open up the book, and it says table of contents. It says, please go to page 375 first, read this, and then go back to the front. So we're on your 375th page. I believe in the last 10 days alone, you were racing an 8-hour infinity race in Doha, Middle East. I don't even know where the fuck.
Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia.
And
you were also racing within 7 days of that in Washington, D.C. for an Elite 15 High Rocks race. Is that true?
It is, unfortunately.
And now you are holding a child 2 days later in Colorado. Yes. And I don't even know if it's your child.
Maybe we'll never know.
Mm-hmm. These are the facts that we can get into. So that is Kris's life in a nutshell. And I wanted to get into understanding probably the fittest woman in our space right now, and kind of understand how somebody like yourself is able to, in like a 1 week period, compete at the highest level on 2 sports on the opposite side of the spectrum. Just so that we can get some stats about you. As I know it, at least in our space, you are the 2022 High Rocks World Champion, 2022 WTM World Champion, 2023 WTM World Champion. You finished how many 100-milers?
I think I'm at 1,500 milers in the past 3.5 years.
I've had 5 to 10, so we're going to put those two numbers together and make it 1,500 milers. How many didn't you win right after High Rocks World Championships? Didn't you win one of the Spartan Race majors?
I got on the podium at one of their series races. Yeah.
Have you won any of the majors with the Spartan Race?
I won one last year, and I won the series last year.
So Spartan Race series champion. I can't even say that.
2023.
2023.
Yeah.
And you've done this all before the age of like 27? How old are you?
I'm 27 now. Yeah. So this was all before I was 27.
We can't forget about the first place starvation finish.
Oh yeah, one starvation triathlon without trying. Almost beat me.
If I was trying, I would have beat you. There we go.
Fucking right, shut your mouth. Without trying. Any other major things that we could put on here? Because I think my computer's gonna run out of battery if I keep typing, but I'd prefer that we get this all out in the open. Any other major accolades that I should know about?
Along the 100 milers, I'm the youngest one to complete the Grand Slam of ultra running. I think it's called. It's basically 4 out of the 5 biggest hundreds within a summer, and I did that 2 years ago and became the youngest to do it. So.
And you qualified for the Barkley marathons too, right?
Oh yeah, I'm doing the Barkley marathons in a couple weeks.
No. Nuts.
You're doing it in a couple weeks?
Yep.
Holy fuck, dude. Shouldn't swear in front of your child. I'm sorry. It's hard not to reading all of this. This is basically like the life if I read like the greatest female marathoner and then also put it in with Shackleton, the guy who got to the North Pole and just made the two of them have a child. It's like, what would happen to this person in life if you cast them out into the world?
It's Kris.
It's Kris. It's the Polish. It's the Polish female warlord. Okay, so I really appreciate you sharing all of that because that's crazy. That is really crazy. I guess what I had up at the front, so we're going to go back to page 1. Little girl from Texas, correct?
Mostly, yeah. Mostly grew up in Texas.
Where did you start?
I was born in Arizona.
Oh, my Lord. That's why this is all a problem. I don't understand why anybody gets born in Arizona. That's literally the most dangerous place on the planet. It's pure desert.
I mostly grew up in a river valley, like an hour north of Phoenix. That's actually one of the nicest places I've ever been to.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess there is Havasu Falls.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, so I shouldn't talk badly about it. And, you know, you seem to grow up in a family, a simple household. I understand that you were a little bit more on the religious side of things. Are you still a woman of the faith?
Still a woman of the faith.
Hey.
Not a woman of the religion I grew up in. So,
For context, what was the religion that you grew up in? Because most of my competitors were Mormon, and they beat the piss out of me. So if you got Mormon Jesus on your side, you're dangerous.
No, not Mormon. It was just Christian, but a very extreme fundamentalist version of it that bordered on the cultish side of things. So we're far from that.
In a serious note, I've recognized, and there's studies behind this, that a large majority of the best athletes in the world either have an insanely tight tie with some form of God and this like large belief in this higher power. And then there's this other group, which is probably like the Conor McGregors. I actually am a religious man, but I don't talk about it often. The Conor McGregors of the world and like the Mike Tysons who have this massive belief in themselves. Which camp do you fall into?
I fall into the believing in God thing.
Interesting. All right, putting that down in the notes. Do you believe that played a role in any of this? Because it is a curiosity of mine. Like when I meet somebody who's very much into the faith and I compete against them, I take a step back because I know it's going to be a tough battle.
I think to me, what I've found that benefits me and I think does definitely play a role is just the to me, it's given me good perspective. Anything that I do matters because I matter. But at the same time, nothing that I do matters that much because I don't there's more at play and there's always more at play. There's somebody else in control that's kind of running everything. And so while everything that I do matters a lot and is significant in my life and in the life of those around me, at the same time, it's not like I have to make sure everything turns out exactly the way it's supposed to or I think it's supposed to. So to me, it just gives me a bigger perspective. I'm able to compete and give like absolutely everything I have, but at the same time, regardless of the results, like everything's still fine always.
So how do you put yourself in a position where you have that mindset, yet there's obviously this big emphasis on competing. Like you love competing, which is obviously very result driven. Like you're not showing up, you're competing. There's a huge difference. Like, you're not participating, you're actually competing. How do you let go of your ego and attachment to results? Because I've seen you compete and you haven't always got the results that you want, and I can see it in your face when you don't get what you want. Like, where's the divide there? Like, knowing that there's this higher power that you're talking about versus this obvious, very result driven, very tangible thing, which is a 1, 2, or a 3, or if you don't even get on the podium, however low you want to go. Where does that divide come in? How do you survive in those two worlds?
Well, I'm just a competitive person. So that's like, I will always want to do the most in everything I do. But I guess I see it as like, when I show up on race day, all I can control is my result. And my result is the only thing that I can own. So wherever that falls, that is my result. And that's all that I have to go off of. So it doesn't matter. Like, so I think that's where the placement kind of comes in. Like, there's always a reason I got the result that I got. And it's pretty easy to see. It's in the buildup. It's what I did leading up to it. It's where I was at on that day. There's a million factors. None of the factors have anything to do with what anybody else did. So if I run a great race and place, 5th or 6th, I can know that I ran a great race, but 5 other people ran a better race than me. And that's just that. Like, so it's just one of the, I don't know, to me, it's like when you show up on race day, all you can control is your result, and anything else is completely out of my control. And so to stress about it, to be upset about it, to be angry about it is very unreasonable, because there's nothing I could have done. And there's nothing I had no say in what happens other than my result. So I think the only thing that I can ever be frustrated or upset or try to understand is like where I landed. Like, what did I do wrong? What did I do right? What would I change? How does that make me feel? Like, I don't know. That's where it comes down to for me, is the only thing that I can even really process is my own result. And placement matters, but it matters only because of what I did right or wrong.
So take this, hear out my whole sentence before you make past judgment here. That's easy to come from the perspective of somebody in your shoes, because you're often winning a lot.
Not anymore.
Well,
but I'll hear you out.
That's part of the conversation I wanted to have with you today. Now, you're often winning, and you often kind of win effortlessly. Like, when I watched you cross the finish line of Starvation, I was like, fuck that chick. And I don't mean that the wrong way. I'm just like, holy crap. This girl is walking across the finish line. I literally cried when I crossed the finish line. And I'm like, tough ass dude. And you finished like not that far behind me. And so it's like not that difficult to have that opinion. Like, what do you think happens to you in a similar situation to what's going on right now when you start to lose kind of regularly?
I've been thinking about that a lot the last couple weeks. I think I'm very much somebody that tries to do it all, and that works to an extent, but there's a lot of other factors currently that are making that not possible. I guess, like, I would say, like, leading into these past 10 or so days where I just did some pretty big races, didn't do so well. To me, it's like I'm kind of running on empty currently, where I am trying to survive, like, work and traveling across the world twice, and just not, like, I can't do that where I'm at currently. To work, I work up until the end of the day on Wednesday, fly out Wednesday night, and show up to race in Saudi Arabia Friday morning. Friday afternoon is when I finally got to Saudi Arabia. Like, I didn't have any time to take care of myself and set myself up for feeling good. So I go out there, I feel okay, feel the best that I'm going to feel. But then to finish racing Saturday night and Sunday morning, I started 40 hours of travel back home. Got home Monday afternoon, worked for a few hours, worked 3 more days that week before flying out early Friday morning to race Friday night. Like, my body is not sustaining that. And that's kind of where, again, it's like, it still comes down to like, these are all factors that are technically within my control. And that's the problem, is I maybe can't do all the things with my current life. So it still applies. Like, it doesn't change just because I'm not doing well. I think it just takes a little more processing to recognize, like, what am I doing? What do I need to change? I think the biggest thing is like, I don't sleep enough. So I'm changing that this week.
Proud of you. That's big. That's really big of you.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
But I spend most of my life getting like, 4 to 6 hours of sleep a night if I'm lucky, just so I can get up early and get in some workouts and training before I work all day. And I'm starting to realize, like, I think I actually just need to sleep and recover some. And the fitness will still be there.
Mhm.
And like, it'll change eventually. But for now, yeah, like, I'm not doing myself any services by the way I'm living.
So to give some people some context here, you in the last week, we said this earlier, raced in Saudi Arabia and then raced in DC. In the past 24 months, you won WTM twice, which is kind of the category of the event that you did. It's obviously 1/3 of the distance, but it's still ultra distance obstacle racing. And you also won High Rocks World Championships. In this same field in Saudi Arabia, I think you came 8th?
Seventh.
Seventh?
Give me some credit.
Don't want to take that from you.
Seventh is important.
Really important. Did you get any cash?
Yes.
How much?
3,000, and my trip was entirely paid for. So technically made $3,000. I didn't spend a dime the entire time I was there, except for on a couple souvenirs for my kids. But yeah,
Crisp.
trip was entirely paid for.
Crisp. And then you went to DC and you took 12th? It's a hard number to swallow. So for you, being that you've been a world champion in both these sports, and then in a 1 week period, you're now in the back of the pack, like, what does that feel like?
So I've already thought about and processed this. I had, while I was finishing in 12th, I was not sure that I was going to be able to finish that race in DC. I think a smarter me would have not started. My legs had some serious recovering going on all week. Couldn't run, was just in complete trying to bring my legs back under me. When I lunged a couple times in warm up, my knee completely gave out. I didn't think I would be able to complete lunges and wall balls. So honestly, like, I lined up at the start of that race, unsure if I could even finish, which is pretty regrettable. Like, I don't know if I should have done that or not. I'm glad I did. My conclusion is, like, I always, if I have the chance to race against the best, and like, I ended up being physically able to do it, I want to be there. Just because it's not going to be a good result, it's still a great experience. Like, I like to race. I like to race against the best. Like, I just enjoyed that whole experience. I also didn't finish last, so I do take some consolation in that. But yeah, I guess, like, I kind of, as I was running in 12th, realizing, like, I mean, obviously this is not my greatest race. The reason I enjoy racing and competing so much is because I've found a sense of belonging, like some sense of, I'm here, I deserve to be here, and I've worked hard to get here, and like, this is my place, this is my space. Like, I like being here, and I've worked hard to deserve to be here. And I thought about that as I was racing, and I was like, should I even be here? Do I deserve to be here? Should I just go run for long hours in the mountains? Why am I even trying to do this? And then I realized, like, regardless of how, like, any certain race, anything that may make me feel like, okay, I really technically shouldn't be here, I still belong. Like, I don't know, it's just kind of this realization of, my body is still capable of doing this, and I belong here. Like, my body just kind of, like, me as a person, I belong, and I've worked hard to be here, to qualify for this, to be here. Today, I may not, like, this is not my best showing. This is not somewhere I should technically be today. But me as myself, like, I deserve to be here. I've worked to be here. And like, even though I don't deserve to be in this field and placing at the back of the pack, like, I'm happy to do this. And like, my body, my mind, like wants to be here and wants to race this. And in that sense, like I belong here. I should be here. This is something that I've worked for and that I deserve. And so even though obviously I probably shouldn't have, wasn't there, didn't bring my best, um, like my body of work, I got there. Like I did that. And so I have every right to be there and to race and to like still compete in something that I find a lot of like satisfaction in. So,
Well, I want to go back to, we keep on going to the back of the book to the front of the book. Like obviously, like the reason why I wanted to start this podcast out by saying like the insane amount of accolades that you have is because you do have this body of work that's like beyond pretty much everybody in our sport. I've done a lot, but it's been very isolated to like one action at a time. You're living 2 lives in the same day, which is kind of a functional fitness endurance athlete and an ultra endurance athlete, which is crazy. I mean, 1,500 milers. Like I've tried to do 100 miler and I quit because I had too much of a chapped ass. So it's insane to think that you've done 15 of those in 24 months.
You've got a bit of a hairier ass, though, Hunter. That's why you got
Don't say that. I guarantee Kris has a hairier ass than I do.
you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. So I'd like to get to understand like where it all started, because it may, I have to remind myself these things. A couple days ago, I'll give you this story and it'll maybe helpful lead us down the road with you. There's all these storms going on in California. I don't know if you've heard about all the rain coming and just fucking up everything. There's floods everywhere. Roads are washing out. So I just dropped a friend of mine off at the airport, George, and I had to drive all the way back to the airport. We went through the mountains to get to the airport because all the roads had collapsed. And then I was coming back on the PCH, and I thought for sure that I was able to get to my house, and the roads were all still shut down. There was no sign saying the roads were still shut down. So I get all the way within like a quarter mile of the road to my house, and the road shut down. And it's an hour and a half to go back all the way around to get to my house. And I was like, what the fuck? I'm not doing that. So I just drove up into the mountains on another canyon and had to run through the mountains to my house at the end, and like at the nighttime, and cross rivers and all these kind of things. And I'm in a $100,000 truck going to a mountain in the like a big ass house in the mountains of Malibu. And I was sitting there for 2 seconds and I was like, boo hoo. And I was upset. And then all of a sudden I was like, wait a second. This is exactly what I fucking did as a kid. This is how I got around, because I was so broke. Like I didn't have a car. I didn't have anything. We were kids. We would just run through the woods to get to our friends' houses. That's how we'd get there, because it was faster. And I was like, I felt so free and so happy in that moment, because at first I was pissed off. I was pissed off because I was like, why do I have to deal with this shit? I live in Malibu, California. They shouldn't have problems. And I was all fed up. I was being a little prick. And then I had this beautiful moment where I was like, wow. I was like, I get to be a kid again. I ditched my big truck and I just run through the mountains to get to my house. Like, I'm like, this is absolutely amazing. And I think that's why I wanted to kind of keep on doing these loops with you, is because like obviously there was a certain point in your life where you were doing all of this and it was for the joy of it. It was for the actual pursuit of endurance or adventure or whatever. And it wasn't about placement. Like, and I think a lot of athletes, including myself, we forget about why we got started and we're all focused on the placement. It's all a number now. Like if you're not number one, everything you fucking did isn't worth it. You have to be a number now. It can't be anything else. It can't be, did I have fun? Did I enjoy my bike race? Was this cool? Did I meet somebody nice? Did I like my outfit? It's all a number. So, that being said, coming back around, like where did sports start for you? Like I really have no clue. Like did you all of a sudden put on a pair of shoes at like the age of 19 like me and decide to start running, or were you an athlete from a little kid?
I was not at all an athlete. The world that I grew up in, women were expected to get married and have kids ASAP. And
That's
was my
right.
plan.
No, I'm just kidding.
That was entirely my plan. I didn't have the opportunity to really do anything in sport. I would play volleyball with friends. I do a 5K once a year because my dad got free 5K entries. But like sport as such was never like something I ever considered. It wasn't, so I would say, I guess I decided to sign up for a Spartan because all my friends were doing one when
What
I
year is this?
this was 2016. 2016 was my first one. And I was probably, I think I was 18 or 19. And I was like, everybody's doing it. Let me try it. So that was kind of when I started anything active. I'd gone through some rough spots like as a late teenager and was kind of in this like pretty like depressive spiral of just trying to figure out everything with life and why am I alive? Why do I care? Why do I matter? And I went to food as solace in that and put on a lot of weight. So I kind of started out as, 19,
No way.
18, 19.
Hold on, I got to pause on this. There's not a chance in hell you were ever a heavy person.
Kris is chunky. I currently weigh about 140 and I topped out at 176 was my, like, I was, a good almost 40 pounds more than I am now. I just
Same
I
height?
liked food. Yeah, pretty much. Maybe a little shorter. I definitely like hunched my shoulders a lot more, but I was about the same height.
I can't picture this at all.
Yeah, chunky Kris. I liked food, and so I ate a lot of it. I ate everything I possibly could. I ate until I was stuffed, and then like just ate more.
Kris,
There
you
was
act like anything's different right now. You still love food.
yes, but there was a shift when I realized like I can just eat until I'm satisfied, until like I don't have to eat until literally everything is gone. I can just eat until I'm satisfied and I'm kind of
It
good.
took me until about 2 years ago to figure that out, by the way. Like, I would go to steakhouses and they're like, what would you have, sir? I'm like, the 76-ounce tomahawk. And they're like, I'm like, that's the biggest one. And they're like, bring it out. And I just like keep on hacking into it. I'm like, oh, my stomach. They're like, sir, would you like a box? I'm like, leave me.
You can still fit a little more in as long as you can fit more in.
Oh, that's insane.
Yeah. So, and I mean, it's one of those things too. Like I ate so much dessert. I like lived off of ice cream for a while. I was just eating and eating. And now I don't really like dessert that much. It's just too sugary and like just doesn't do it for me. But that's like 10 years of changing things. Anyways, yeah, signed up for my first Spartan. Ran it and was like, my first thought was people take this seriously. It's not that hard. I walked half of it, did all the obstacles, had a good time. And my thought was literally nobody walks this whole thing. I did a beast and it was the first time I'd ever covered that kind of distance. So that was newer, but I just kind of got through it. The obstacles were fun. It wasn't until I was going to do, it wasn't until like 2 races later, because I wanted to do a trifecta. I was like, okay, we'll do all the distances, that I was talking to somebody and they were talking about the top of the field and people fly all around the country to do these. They'll do multiple ones in a weekend. And I was like, that's insane. Like, I just thought that was kind of crazy. But then I think it was my third race. I decided I'm going to try to run this really fast and see how it goes. And I would volunteer and run in like the volunteer wave. But I'd have to go look at the results again. But I won something. I think I ran one of the very fastest open times. And I kind of thought like, I like doing this as more of a challenge than just, oh, everybody thinks it's a big deal. It's kind of a joke. Anyways, it kind of evolved from there. I podiumed at the next race I did. I was doing a bunch because I'd finished a job out east and there were a lot of races out there. So I went up to Canada and did a trifecta up there. I went to Killington, did a couple races there, and started realizing like I'm kind of good at this. This is fun. I don't like running. I'd done zero running to prep for it, but I can run for a period before I get to an obstacle and do an obstacle. So yeah, that's where it all started, was just kind of, I like being outside and running around, and the obstacles make the running doable because I hated the running, was terrible at it. And then it kind of gradually went from there. Once I'd podiumed at 2 races, I ended up down in South Texas, and there was a gym there that focused on OCR, kind of like did a lot of OCR focused
This
stuff.
is Grit.
Yep, Grit. I ended up down at Grit. And I told them, like, I'm decently good at this, but I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I want to be good, just not just because it's fun.
Well, that was my next question. When did you start training? So I'm going to do this. I want to get this correct. So you said you started in 2016. You were 18 years old. That math doesn't add up. So you had to have been 20.
20. How old am I now? What year is it?
You said 27. So you had to have been like 19 or 20.
Okay, 19 or 20.
Okay. I really want to add this up because this is an interesting part of the story. When did you first start training? Within your first race, like I did my first one in 2011. I showed up drunk in my underpants. And then like I came sixth place out of 10,000 people. And I was like, whoa, wait a second. And I was like, I think I'm going to do something about this. And then I forgot about it for a while. And then that was in November. Somewhere in the spring, I told my parents, they were like, you need to go back to college. And I just threw a fucking Hail Mary. I was like, I'm going to become a Spartan racer. Like, when was that conversation? Like, when were you like, I'm going to start training? This is going to be a thing. Was that within 6 months, 6 years?
It was a year and a half after my first one, probably. I did my first one kind of like the weekend of my 20th birthday. Yeah. And so, yeah, end of that year. Kind of did a year of putzing around, did some races. And then it was right around my 21st birthday is when I ran my first ultra. I'd heard about the ultra and I was like, people can do this. I decided I could walk it and finish it under time. Ended up running the first lap in first place, completely died the second lap and ended up in third, but I got on the podium and that was kind of cool.
What year was this?
This was 2018. No, this was 2017. 2017. End of 2017.
That's not that long ago.
Yeah, end of 2017. So then early 2018 is when I ended up at Grit. And I told them, like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I kind of like this. I want to do more of this. But I had never trained for anything. I had no idea, like, what goes into any of that. In March of 2018, I ran 50 miles in a month for the first time ever. And that was, like, a huge deal. That was a lot of running to run 50 miles in a month. So in April,
that is a lot.
In April, I decided to run my first 50 miler. So I ran my first 50 miler in April of 2018. Yeah. And then I kind of took that year, that 2018, I did a lot of Texas races. I was like, I want to try all the different brands, you know, and I placed it in most of them, did decent. Of course, these were all just local ones. Used to get a little cash for winning a Spartan, get a bunch of other random stuff for, you know, winning or placing in others. And then 2019, I was like, this is all kind of a joke, but I'm having fun with it. So I decided 2019, I'm going to like really try this year and see if I can be competitive. Like I want to try and win some stuff. And then after that, I was like, okay, then I'll move on with life. Like this isn't really it for me.
Were you going to any of the Spartan Race World Championships at that point?
No, I didn't even know. I was very much like Spartan I did a lot of the Tough Mudder. They're like 10-mile races. I ran like 3 of them that year and won them. So I was like making a little bit of money. This was 2018. It wasn't until 2019 that I even started following the top. And then I didn't do my first Spartan like series race until 2021, I believe.
Wow. Well, that's a long time of just kind of chilling in the background.
There were some personal things going on. So that was a lot of like, I was kind of stuck in Texas. And like any travel that I did do was pretty like, it was a struggle. So yeah, I was just in Texas. I did one in like Louisiana, did one in Florida. I did go to the OCRWC races.
Those were dope.
Yeah.
This is back when Spartan Race used to be cool, at least in my opinion, was like the 2014, 2013, like to 2019 was epic. This is when the sport was still booming. And like I know that you were part of some of it, but at the championships, there was so much energy behind it. I'm talking
Yeah.
about like 15,000 plus people at Tahoe for the weekend there. Everything was packed, wild.
I missed all of that. I came in like after that was all gone.
This
So
guy, Nick Hoyer, who's in the notes right now, I don't know if you can see the comment section. I used to wake up every single year, blackout drunk from the night before, and I would charge to the Spartan Ultra start line, and I would get all the people all cheered up and start like a mosh pit and get them going. And it was amazing. It was electric. Like you just go, you'd race. We'd do case races. We'd race hard. We'd drink all night. Ultra starts the next day. Like it just was this weekend. It was like a rock concert.
I know the case race. That was a lot of fun.
My favorite case race story. This is a gross story, but sorry to steal the mic for a second. This is a year that I lost really badly. In a case race, you had to race the world championship that day to be able to compete in the case race world title that night. If you didn't, you don't get to compete because obviously it's way harder to drink 20 beers after racing one of the hardest hardest races in the world. 20 beers, 10, like you split it however you can with your partners. You put the beers in the center so everyone can see so no one's cheating. Because there's a lot of like getting drunk and trying to like hide beers and stuff. It's very dirty. It's a dirty sport. I was drinking and trying. I think, what the hell was her name? There's a girl on my team. Heather. I think it was Heather was on my team. She was housing beers. I was struggling. And everyone was just ragging on me. And I'm drinking. And then it just hits. And I just projectile vomit beer all over. And I have to take a beer box and I throw up in the beer box and I run outside. And then I'm just out there for a while, kind of just like enjoying the nice cold mountain air. I come back in, the beers are gone. People were drinking the beers that I had thrown up all over and didn't know that I had thrown up on them. And just to this day, I shudder when I think of that moment.
It's pretty gross.
Yeah. So when was your like first... Sorry. But so you see this? Our viewership went up as soon as I started talking about drinking and throwing up. Thanks for showing up to the show, guys. When was your first, like, I'm Kris Rugloski, the Polish queen of danger competition? Like, when were you like, I'm showing up to fuck shit up?
Never, really?
Come on, dude. You had to have shown up at like a elite race, like one of the higher level races, and been like, I want this.
Okay, then it was probably 2021. Well, I guess, 2020, when everything was shut down. I just spent a year of like biking and running and working out. That's all I did for the majority of the year. In Texas, yep. I'd like bike from one town to the next. I'd do a big out and back. I was just all over the place. I'd run to work, I'd bike back, I'd bike to work, run back. Like I was just having a great time. There was less going on. There was no reason to be, there's no races. So all I was doing was just having a grand time. Towards the end of 2020, I think was when I started doing some Savage races and started doing well in those. And then 2021, I don't know. At some point I started doing more. I think it was 2021 was kind of where I started showing up to races. I started with there's 2 Spartan races in Texas earlier in the year. And I knew I would be putting in contention. I think I maybe won one of them, got second at one of them. And then that year I went to my first national series race, like Spartan National Series.
2021?
2021. Yeah.
We competed against each other, not against each other, but you came to the Spartan Games.
That was in 2021, end of 2021.
Right?
Yeah. So 2021 was kind of my big, I guess, like coming out year. I did well at some races towards the end of the year. I guess probably end of 2020, we might have had a Texas Spartan race that I might have done well at. But 2021 was when I kind of like restabilized my personal life, had spent a year of getting fit and being, an athlete. And that's kind of when I showed up and started trying to win stuff.
When were the Titan Games? Because that's the first time I ever met you. Do you remember Sweet Sweet Benny?
Sweet, sweet Benny.
Dude.
That was end of 2018.
That was the end of 2018?
Yes.
Holy shit. So you've been doing some stuff for a while. Okay, so let's put this in the notes.
But here's the end of 20. So I only applied to that. So I applied to that in early 2018.
How the fuck
And
did they make? Were you a Titan or are you competing against the Titans?
I was I became a Titan because I won my bracket.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about. But so I'm with Benny. Benny's like, yeah, man, we're gonna go see this chick at the Titan games. And I was like, what the fuck, Benny? And I was like, I don't want to go all the way. It was in Riverside. I was like, I don't want to go all the way over there, Benny. He's like, come on, it's gonna be cool. And we go there and we see you. And they had screwed up the obstacle design so bad they couldn't get the doors to open, and like everything was like locked, and the athletes were trying to do it. It was really funny because one of the guys who was the prop builders just walked up, and these big tough athletes couldn't move the thing, and the guy who was the prop builders came up and ripped it with one arm, and it completely opened up the entire thing. And he's like, you guys are just being pussies. And at first we thought it was their fault, and then we just recognized that the Titans were pussies. And I mean, I saw you and I was like, I have no clue who this girl is, but cool. And then I didn't hear from you for like another like 2 or 3 years, I don't believe. And then all of a sudden that was 2 years before you decided to start training hard?
Well, I started training, I would say, in like end of 2019, early 2020 is when I started actually running every day. Up until then, I kind of ran here and there when I wanted to, when I felt like it.
When did you realize that you were actually good at this stuff?
Kind of as soon as I started. I was very much like, this is something I enjoy, and this is something I'm good at because it doesn't. To me, I was coming from a very non-athlete world, and I was doing okay as a non-athlete that had not run all summer, that did nothing to get ready for this. So I knew I don't know, I knew I could be good at it. I didn't really see a whole lot of value in being good at it until a couple years later, though.
Interesting. So, I mean, like, you remind me a lot of my friend Rory Bozio. She won UTMB twice and was like probably the most fittest human being I've ever seen in my entire life. She wrecked us in everything. She wrecked everybody and everything. She never trained. She just moved. Like, who tells you what to do, or how do you figure out how you're going to train for anything? Because it's totally random from what I can tell. Like, you by accident won Spartan race, like, you know, like the Spartan Race Ultras and WTM and High Rocks all in a sort of all period of time, or like you've got this like coach behind the scenes. Like, where are you getting this info?
I have no coach. I have some voices, but for the most part, I just kind of do what I want. It's heavily focused just on movement. I like to move, and there's been times where I can't run for a little while, and I've realized like I am not myself when I'm not running a lot of miles. I'm just not who, like, I was just born. I don't know. I was born to run a lot. I was born to move. And anytime I don't move or run a lot, I get cranky. I get like not myself. I'm not happy. I'm not myself. I can't focus on anything. Like, everything falls apart when I'm not moving and active. It's probably just highly ADHD, and somehow I funneled it into working out a lot.
We got somebody in the show notes saying that Caleb's looking thick. Just want to make sure we put that out there.
He's the hybrid. What's your new thing?
Hybrid paradigm.
Caleb changed his whole identity on Instagram. I don't know.
Yeah.
The hybrid paradigm?
Yeah.
Explain this.
I got tired of Caleb Yates' fitness, so I was like, I don't want this anymore. So I just thought of something else, and that was what I threw in there.
What's the paradigm? That Explore poster in the background?
Yeah, how'd you know?
And that one banana stuck on the stick?
There's three bananas. I'm holding them on.
So let's get a little serious with the hybrid paradigm. In 1 week's time, you lost two major things that, like, really you won within the past 2 years. I mean, like, you were the top of the food chain. And it's not my belief that the field's gotten much better, to be totally honest. It's just I'll be raw with you. I sat down with you, and I'm just going to be straight, and you can shut this off and hang up on me if you want to. But in Starvation, we were inside of a room. I said, what are you doing over the next year? You're like, I'm going to win High Rocks World Championships. And I looked you straight in the face, and I said, you don't have a fucking chance in hell. And what are you going to do to prove me wrong?
You said unless I focus on it, I don't have a chance. And I'm focusing on it once I'm done focusing on these other things.
So we're going to go back to your notes. Let's just go and see site right here. Qualified for Barkley Marathon, doing it in a couple weeks. What are you going to do to prove me wrong?
April and May are going to be solely focused on High Rocks World Champs. And we'll see. I'm trying to prove you right. If I focus on just one thing, will I succeed in it?
Okay. I'm going to hold you to it because I've been actually writing everything down rather than being one of these passive, lame podcasters who's like, hey, have you ever done a Spartan race before? These things are really interesting. My cousin did one. I actually put a lot of notes together, and I wanted to make sure that I had like a very full profile on you to make sure that I wasn't being an ass when I was making these estimates, because all I see here is talent and confusion. I see a very talented, confused person, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you just have to admit that to yourself, and then you can ask for help. And I'm not saying for myself or anybody else, or you can always be this talented, confused person if that's who you want to be. I'm a chronic overtrainer. I always want to set world records, so I overtrain myself because I'm trying to do things that no one's ever done before. So I get compartment syndrome, IT band syndrome, overtraining syndrome. My dick doesn't work, my brain doesn't work, my body doesn't work. Like, everything will fall apart. And then, like, I thread the needle. I just somehow get away with it. So much so that I had to hire a coach this year who oversees everything that I do. And it's because I want to get a certain kind of result. And, like, you have so many results, but, like, there's a straight line and then there's your line. It is always going up in random directions, which is great. But I guess out of curiosity, like, what do you really want to finish this? If someone could identify you as like one thing this year in your athletic career, what do you want to be known as?
Haven't thought about that. I don't really want just one identifier.
Well, as a friend, I'm going to let you know it's going to be very, very hard to do things at a high level if you don't know that. Back to what I said earlier, a very talented and confused person. And it's tough. I mean, like, I sit here as like a friend and an admirer. Like, I admire your talent massively. Like, as I said, you crossed the finish line just after me on like a piece of shit bike and piece of shit setup at Starvation, and you nearly beat me. And I didn't not train for that thing. Like, I actually was like, I want to be ready for this. And I nearly died.
She beat you in either the bike or the run. I'm pretty sure it was the run, though.
She definitely beat me in the run. I fell apart on the run.
Yeah.
I really let go on that run. That was very hard for me. And, you know, it's my curiosity because, like, you're one of these kind of very interesting people where you're like a savant. Like, I could hand you a guitar or a calculator or a pair of shoes, and I feel like you could be one of the best in the world at almost like any of these things if you really tried. And, like, that's one of those kind of pieces where I've met a lot of people in my life that are so talented that they have this curse where they never achieve very much. You've already achieved a ton, not insulting you, but the most talented people often have the most challenging times because they don't have to try as hard as everybody else does. Like, you could haphazardly just tie on a pair of shoes and fall in the top 10 of almost any sport and win High Rocks World Championships and WTM in the same year, which is crazy. So, I mean, I guess at this point, yeah, how are you going to prove me wrong? I'll ask you one more time.
I'm going to focus on just the one thing for all of April and May. Yeah, that's all I got.
After Barkley, do you have anything else?
After Barkley, I have a marathon, just like a cool down marathon the next weekend. But that's all in March. Once April starts, it's High Rocks and only High Rocks.
Interesting. That does seem like a good way to train for a High Rocks World Championships, one of the most challenging ultras with a cool down marathon. Where's this cool down marathon, by the way?
It's in Dallas. If Caleb wants to come run it, I'll beat him too. No, but my best friend is running her very first marathon, and I'm going to run it with her and help her get a sub 4 hour. Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, I remember you just telling me recently, you said, man, I have to stop living this life where I hop on a flight in one place and go to the next place and feel totally unprepared, and then a week later hop on another flight, and then my knees fall apart and I feel totally unprepared. The smart version of me shouldn't have started.
How long after Barkley is, you have Houston and then Barkley the next weekend, or is there a weekend off for you?
Barkley's the following week.
Okay, let's just get your calendar. This would be interesting. Okay. What's your calendar throughout March? March calendar. We've got High Rocks,
Houston.
So that's not where you live.
But that's where I'm from. I'm going to go ride my horses, see my friends.
Oh, so you're going to run a High Rocks, then ride horses.
You're going to run two High Rockses.
Okay, so it's two High
Rockses.
Actually, it's technically 3. She's doing the relay too.
3 High Rockses. Okay.
So all 3 of those equal about 1 High Rocks.
Okay. Hold on. Now, I'm a gambling man, and if I have money, which I do, I'm going to bet against you. Barkley Marathon. Now, do you think you're going to get this thing done?
5 loops.
Does that mean you're going to count them or you're going to complete them?
I can count to 5. I will.
Starting to doubt that
I will get one. I will get 1. I think 3 is very possible, but all I'm putting out there is 5. I'm planning on 5.
I don't know what that just meant, but okay.
Barkley is 5 loops.
I will get 1. Realistically, 3 is very possible, but 5 is completion, and all I'm planning on is completion.
Okay, Barkley Marathon. What's the distance on this thing, by the way?
60 hours.
60 hours. Man, anybody want to throw some money in my pot about her not qualifying? Okay, 60 hours, and then where's this cool? Where is that? That's in Tennessee.
That's in the Barkley's in Tennessee. Yeah.
Okay. I'm assuming it's not in a very easy to get to place in Tennessee. Where is it?
It's in Frozen Head State Park. It's about 45 minutes outside of Knoxville. So I don't know if you're going to fly into Knoxville or Nashville.
Okay, where's your cool down? Where's your cool down marathon?
Dallas, Texas. Well, technically Fort Worth, I think.
You should be a clown for a living. Okay. Okay, Dallas, Texas marathon, cool down marathon. Okay, and then you assume that April and May all High Rocks.
Yep.
How does somebody switch from doing 3 High Rocks as a Barkley Marathon and a Dallas cool down marathon into being all High Rocks for 6 weeks? What does that plan look like?
8 weeks. 8 weeks.
No, it's not, because you have to get a last chance qualifier. So,
that's true.
Yeah, you can't even do math.
Just a lot less running, a lot more working out. I am going to be working with a coach, so it'll be a lot more intentional and a lot more structured. And plan is to show up prepared.
All right. This is good. Who is this genius coach? Just so I can put this in the notes, because I want to send him money. I'm going to pay for his tissues when I realize how shitty he is at his job. Who is it?
I haven't entirely decided yet, and I will protect the innocent.
Oh, dude. I guarantee this person is a fitness influencer or just a strength and conditioning coach that watched one High Rocks of YouTube of mine and now thinks that they're a High Rocks coach. But this is going to be entertaining, to say the least.
Of course, that's who I'd go for. Yeah.
100%. They're like, yeah, I know everything about High Rocks. I've watched Hunter's videos. Okay, so you've got 6 weeks. So, let's let you know how strength and conditioning works. your body needs about 7 to 10 days to have adaptations from strength. So you will have in a 6-week period, which adds up to 45 days, potentially at the very best 4 to 6 strength adaptations. Braylon Tender's here. This is the fitness coach that you need right here. Hey, Braylon, so good to see you, bud. So you'll have 4 to 6 opportunities to have adaptations towards high rocks. And what was your race time in BC, by the way?
That one's not important. Vienna, I did 104.
Okay, so 104. What's the qualifying time that you probably need?
102.
102. Okay, so qualifying time. It's 102. This is going to be a fun game. Okay, so of these 4 to 6 workouts that you have, that means that you're going to need to be taking 30 seconds off every single workout from your high rocks time. What's your best ever high rocks time that you've done?
104.
Okay, so you're going to need to have a 2-minute PR within 6 weeks. Interesting. Now, coming from somebody who does this a lot, that's a pretty skinny, that's a hard challenge.
I am Polish. So.
That is true. Wait a second. There's the X factor. She's Polish. So
2 weeks.
I know I've given you a hard time, but we are talking to probably the most athletically gifted person that we've ever interviewed, at least in these kind of sports. Raw talent. Yeah. You could probably make it onto almost any major NFL team as well if you probably wanted to. But, I mean, listen, dude, you've got a tall order up against you. But if anybody could do it and take 6 weeks of their life and really put it in, I believe in you. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't interview you. But I did want to publicly say that, like, you know, I do have a lot of faith in you. I may give you a hard time when we talk, but I think that you're incredibly talented, and I think you deserve whatever you want to go towards, whether that's like freedom and happiness of just competing, kind of like that conversation I had about running through the mountains from my house because it was too muddy. Sometimes we need to live life like that more often, and you do smile a lot, which I do appreciate. Never lose that.
I'm having a good time.
Well, I hope so, dude, because if you want to get where you're going, you could pull it off, but don't get upset in the process, because I often say to people, you can't have one ass and ride 2 horses, and you're clearly riding about 15 horses right now.
Don't underestimate
I don't
me.
know if we know Kris, but she's really good at riding horses.
I know. She's got a Polish ass. It's magical. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you could do it. You know,
That's all I needed.
Yeah.
Stamp of approval.
I'm excited to watch the Barclay thing. What's the exact date on that?
I'm not supposed to say,
You're not supposed to.
but it's maybe starts, I think, March 19th.
Is it like private information?
I'm not supposed to post about it on public sources. So, because they don't want a bunch of people showing up to the park.
Oh,
but
it's
I believe
supposed to be a
starts
secret?
March 19th. Yeah, just because they like so many people would show up if they knew when and where it was. So it's supposed to be just kind of like maybe sometime in March.
You know, if
But
I was
maybe
a
a few
rich
days
person,
after.
I would just get a helicopter and I'd pay somebody to fly overhead. Or, you know, satellites these days, you can just go overhead and see heat mapping of bodies, and I'd just have somebody watch that all the time, or just pay an AI app to watch it and find it out really quickly and be like, oh, they're racing this day, and then I would just show up. Like, AI is so easy nowadays. You could literally type it in and have a satellite look for heat mapping and see where large groups of people are in these parks, and they could find you pretty easily. So I just
once it gets started, it's like on Twitter. There's updates on Twitter. That's kind of it. So.
Well, honestly, I've had a really good time. We ran this for an hour. I learned a fair amount, but what I learned the most is that You just don't give a shit. And that's probably why you're so good.
Probably that and the Polish genes.
Yes.
That's all
Let's
it
make
takes.
sure that that's at the top. Not much talents, but a lot of Polish. Whole lot of Polak in her. Yeah. For some reason, every time I meet somebody who's Polish, I'm like, this is going to be tough. Do you remember Zuzana in the highest? Where was she from? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't even know. I know, yeah.
Susanna Kokomo or Coke
somewhere
or
over there.
her name is.
Kukumkova something.
Kokomochkin?
I don't know. I've never met her, so.
Susanna in the highest.
Dude, anytime I saw her, I was like, she could be in the men's event, and she would whack us. She was such a beast.
Didn't her and Hobie win Worlds the same year?
Yeah, she's won twice.
Yeah.
She's won twice. And I think she's gotten trouble in her past. She may or may not be a troublemaker. We don't have to get into the depths of that. How do you feel about High Rocks now supposedly P testing? Are you in trouble?
I'm in big trouble.
You've been doping
I am in
like
literally
crazy.
zero trouble. I'm in zero trouble. I have a hard time just taking basic vitamins on a daily. So.
Do you smoke pot?
I haven't in a while.
15 minutes, bruh. Is there a bong in that baby strap? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I think that's the only thing most of us have to worry about. I actually don't smoke pot because it makes me too anxious, but there's some people who are not going to be able to smoke pot anymore. But I don't think they're ever going to drug test us, so I don't got anything. Zuzana's from Czech. Zuzana's from Czech. All right, well, what do you want if you qualify? I'll let you pick the stakes, but I want something in return if you don't.
Oh,
is this qualify or win Worlds?
Qualify for Worlds. Win.
You don't even think I can qualify for Worlds?
Not a chance in hell. Well, it depends. With the last chance qualifiers, no offense, like it could just be like I just contacted them and supposedly they're not going to let me race in the last chance qualifiers now because of some bullshit. But like I don't know, it's rules. I'm not trying to hack on them, but it's their design. So you obviously get to compete. So if you take out the majority of the top people that have competed, I don't know how that ends up landing for you. So you could end up racing against like a really thin field. I think the reason why it's been challenging to qualify so far is like, didn't you finish like 5th one time or like 6th, just one place out?
Yeah, 7th. For sure, with all the top dogs showing up at every single one, those top couple places are generally taken. So yeah, last chance qualifier gives me a last chance.
I'll do a double bet. My bet is you don't qualify, and then I'll double down. I know you ain't gonna win.
Okay.
Pick your stakes, dude. What do you want? I will even put my dinosaur change jar on the line.
What do I want? I want you to run 100-miler.
Easy. I'll run it naked because that means I'll never have to actually do it knowing that this is on the line.
Perfect.
Kris, you better get in. You better qualify.
Dude, this is cake. This is cake. All right, I'll do 100-miler. I'm going to think of something that I want in return, but it's going to be painful. Actually, you know what? If you don't make it, you have to let me coach you for 3 months. And then by accident, you're going to set a massive PR, and then I'm going to fire you as a client.
Okay, deal.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
But you can't do anything else. I'm going to pay for an extremely advanced tracking device to follow everything you're doing. Perfect. And you're not allowed to go out for any of these ridiculous runs that you go on. You're not allowed to leave the state of Colorado for 3 months.
Perfect.
Like,
I'm not worried. You can put all you want on it. I'm not worried about it.
Dude, this is going to be great.
You're going to get that satellite radar system and just focus on her solely.
100%, dude. This is easy for me. I would put that on the line gladly.
Perfect.
It's going to be great, dude. Honestly. Woo! I am feeling really good about this conversation this morning. I was like, how are we going to wrap this up so I feel good about this? And then all of a sudden I'm like, we make a bet. All right, so I actually have signed up for a 100-miler, but I may not do it. So
if I win, you got to do it. Kodiak 100, when is it?
That's in October. It's one of the harder 100 milers in the United States. It's a qualifier for UTMB.
Where is it?
It's in Big Bear.
Big Bear.
Like, I'll put it to you this way: a bunch of
It's
my
in
friends.
October.
Yeah, I think it's like October 11th.
Okay, maybe I'll come and race you there. I'll beat you.
I'll beat the pants off you, dude, because I'm focused.
You
on
will
the other
have
hand,
no pants, so
you on the other hand, yeah.
running in
No, but
naked.
I won't have pants, but you on, dude. This is gonna be so easy. Alex,
you gotta do what Thong Strong used to do, and just run the whole 100 in a thong.
dude, I will put Vaseline. I'll get a Vaseline sponsor. I'll grease every angle. This is gonna be awesome. I'm so glad that we ended the podcast this way. Top 4 in Anaheim qualify for women. Easy for Kris. Well,
when is
if
last
nobody else,
and Hunter
shows
runs the 100
up,
naked.
no, that's for winning High Rocks World Championships. Oh well, listen, I think the thing is if it's like this, if all of a sudden now, let's just do some math on this thing. You're going to be going against, so Meg's out, Lauren's out. You've got Viola out. You've got Linda out. What's the name of the girl from Stockholm? The really tall blonde chick.
Michaela Norman.
Michaela, did she make it in or no?
I actually don't know. I think she did based off of Chicago. Didn't she do well in Chicago or Stockholm?
So Michaela's out. The majority of the really, really good people are out. So you've got, if it's just top 4 there, I think you'll probably make it in. If you want to, if it's 100 miler based off of that, you've got it. You've got in. But I'm talking about truly winning this thing, and I'm not going to back out of my bet. Yeah, I'll do it naked. I will do it naked.
Is last night's qualifier Anaheim?
Well, it's Anaheim and Cologne.
Cologne. Okay. Are you going to Cologne still, Hunter?
I don't know yet. I don't know. Things are changing every single day, and like that's kind of the difficult part of our whatever. Don't want to talk about it. I had a really good time. Thanks for sharing the morning with me, guys. It was super fun.
This was fun. Thanks for having me on.
You're a star. Have fun with that baby.
Will do.
All right, Alex, what do I do? Just press end stream now? Hold on 2 seconds, guys. Alex is the chief behind this whole thing. End stream? Okay. Stream's ending.